Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and I'm just going to cut to the chase. I think this is probably the laptop slash workstation of the year. I'm talking about the ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 from Lenovo. We're also talking about the T1g Gen 8, which is basically the same workstation or slash laptop, whatever you want to call it, as this one, with the only difference being is the T1g has an RTX 5060 or 5070, depending on which SKU you go with. This has the RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell graphics, which are a little bit different in terms of drivers, but for all intents and purposes, I would say it's equivalent of probably a 5070. So that's where we stand between the two. Otherwise, they're identical. You can buy them both here in the US. The P1 Gen 8 is, of course, expensive, and so is the T1g. I'll leave links for everything in the description below. You know, Lenovo does run sales, so always check the links in the description below for the latest pricing. That being said, I am going to say this is probably the laptop of the year. I still have to make my final choices, but I think we pretty much have it here. This has a gorgeous 16-inch tandem OLED display, 3.2K resolution, 3200 by 2000. It also has 120 hertz. It is a matte finish, and I think this is a better display, in my opinion, because it is matte, and for a few other reasons than the one I saw on the Yoga Pro 9i, which is, I think, too glossy, although that was fantastic. This might actually be a better display for doing work, productivity, but also gets really bright, can peak as high as 1500 nits, and standard dynamic range, I measured about 620 nits. So you're looking at probably one of the best displays, if not the best display on the market right now. Got the ThinkPad keyboard, which is an absolute joy to type on. I love it. It's got a haptic touchpad, which is working out really well. It's responsive. It does everything you'd want it to do. It's got Thunderbolt 5 on this. You've got Gen 5 SSDs, although it is only a PCIe 4.0, so you're not going to get the full Gen 5 speeds out of the SSD, which is a little bit of a negative. We'll talk about that later on. Replaceable USB-C ports, which I'm a big proponent of in terms of modularity, serviceability, as far as the user is concerned, so that is good. And overall, pretty much one of my favorites here, running the Intel Core Ultra 7 255H, but you can go up to a Core Ultra 9 285H. Of course, that is Arrow Lake H. We're going to get into why I think this is probably the best laptop slash workstation of 2025. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the review of the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 and the T1g Gen 8 here for 2025. Coming up. Okay, we're going to start off with the build and design, and this thing is premium as can be. I think this is one of the nicest ThinkPads there is in terms of build quality. This is a very sturdy chassis. It's got a military standard 810H rating, so it's meant to take a licking and keep on ticking. It does have a little bit of weight, although for a 16-inch laptop with a discrete GPU coming in at a little bit over 4 pounds, I'll take it. This is a portable to take with you on the go. And it's certainly lighter than the Dell Pro Max 16 Premium we looked at, and it is lighter than the Apple MacBook Pro, the 16-inch with the M4 Max that I am comparing this as well. But this is really, really good. And I got to tell you, to take it with you on the go for the past couple of weeks or so that I've been using this, it's been great. Now, you can open it with one finger. It does have a reverse notch right over here. This will allow you to open it up without any issues. And that, of course, also houses the camera in this, which has a really nice camera. There is a physical slider switch for those that want more security and privacy to turn off that camera. We'll get a look at that camera in a little bit. Okay, let's talk about the keyboard here, and one of my favorite parts of this ThinkPad as far as typing out documents, emails, and the like, it has been phenomenal. The key travel is good, the overall tactility and feedback is good, and it does have a multi-stage backlight that you can control by hitting function and spacebar, and as you can see there, it is really well, works really well, so you can get work done in a dark room, dimly lit cabin, in an airplane. This did really well. Now, as far as the touchpad is concerned, well, you know, this is a haptic touchpad. You can control the intensity of the haptic feedback in the settings, which is always great. And as far as responsiveness, scrolling, doing all the gestures, everything works as you'd expect. Pinch to zoom, gestures, everything is working here. So that is looking pretty good. Now, it's not a Sensal haptic touchpad. I looked into the drivers on this. They're using Elan drivers, and it's working fine. As far as the overall implementation here, excellent job here. No complaints on this haptic touchpad. They did a great job here. Now, speaking of the TrackPoint, you double tap on that, And that brings up a contextual menu, and I can say, yes, okay, we're using it for the first time here. But tapping that, let's go. There you can see you can do the microphone, voice typing. You can get a battery information on here, and you also get audio playback there. That's pretty interesting. So you can control the volume there. And then you could also enable the haptic touchpad button area for that TrackPoint. So just tapping that brings up this contextual menu. So pretty convenient. And we've seen it before, but it's also here, like I said. So that has been pretty good. A nice little animation to close it as well. Okay, let's talk about the ports on this unit. And on the left side, you get an HDMI 2.1, two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 5 supporting 80 and 120 gigabits per second, and a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack to round out the left side. And on the right side, you get a full-size SD card reader, which as a content creator, I certainly appreciate. A USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port supporting 40 gigabits per second. It is also full function. And a USB Type-A. And finally, a Kensington lock to round out the ports. This is a really good port selection. No gigabit LAN port or anything like that. But overall, an excellent port selection. Now, the other thing I love about this, not only does it have Thunderbolt 5, which is, of course, future-proof, and it's a lot better, obviously, but it also has replaceable USB-C ports, which makes it more modular, more serviceable by the user, and that is great. Now, Lenovo does have a nice service video, and I'll leave a link in the description below to how that works, and I think having the modularity portion of this is a lot better than previous iterations, and replacing those USB-C ports is great. You don't have to replace the whole motherboard. That is A-okay in my book. So I'm really liking this quite a bit. Now, as far as the other parts of this, let's talk performance. Now, this is running the Core Ultra 7 255H, although you can go up to a Core Ultra 9 285H. These are Arrow Lake H processors from Intel, and they're quite good. So you're going to get good single and multi-core performance. And of course, as we run these synthetic benchmarks in Geekbench 6 and of course Cinebench 2024, we're seeing very good single and multi-core performance. So if you're going to do Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, that all worked very well on this. In real world usage, you will not notice any difference between this, a MacBook Pro. You will not notice anything in real world usage. Now, of course, the M4 Max or the M4 Pro will do better in single and maybe multi-core as well. That, of course, is because the chips on the MacBooks, the Apple Silicon, is really, really great. It's superior to this. Let's be honest, it's more efficient in a lot of ways as well. That being said, it doesn't really tell you the whole story when it comes to these synthetic benchmarks. Real world tells you the whole story. And this, you will not notice a difference using Microsoft Word, Excel, spreadsheets in this versus, say, something like the MacBook Pro. Now, when you compare to other Windows laptops in this category, like the Dell Pro Max 16 Premium, running the same chipset pretty much, we're seeing very similar performance. So there is not too much gap between the two. So just keep that in mind. Now let's talk GPU on here. And this is running the NVIDIA RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell graphics. And of course, if you're going to use ISV certified applications, CAD, you're going to do medical imaging, you're going to do 3D rendering, high-end 4K video editing, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve. That's where these come into play, especially when it comes to engineering and stuff like that. So if you need the ISV certified drivers, go with this, of course. This will be, I think, a little bit better for that. But overall, you won't notice a huge difference in real-world usage for other things when you compare the two. So let's talk about what you can do with this in terms of video editing. So I ran the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve benchmark, and as you can see, it certainly held its own with the competition here, and it did pretty well. So I was able to render 4K videos on this. When I do my videos, I'm starting to do it more and more on a Windows laptop using DaVinci Resolve. I still use a MacBook Pro for a lot of the graphics and stuff that I use just for my workflow. So I'm a combination between Windows and MacBook. And of course, the DaVinci Resolve is cross-platform. So I've been using that. Now, as far as gaming on this, you certainly can game on it. I would say it's the equivalent of a 5060 to 5070, more towards maybe 5070 now that I've used it more. And obviously, it supports DLSS for extra frame rates for those titles that support it. So you can actually play some games on your downtime with this somewhat portable laptop, right? Portable workstation. So you are able to play games on this. So that has been very good. Thermals have been very good on this. They were able to keep it very cool. They are using liquid metal cooling here, and that has been very good as far as the implementation here, as far as keeping it cool. Surface temperatures never got overly hot. Where you place your fingers on the keyboard never got to the point where it becomes an issue. So that's been very, very good. Underside stayed relatively cool as well, even under heavy load. Now you will notice the fans in full mode, in performance mode, kicking in, and you will notice it, of course, but when you're doing your everyday tasks in the balance mode, fan noise was not an issue at all. It was remained relatively quiet as well. Overall, thermals have been very good. Very little, if any, thermal throttling has been detected on this unit, even under load. So that has been very good. And when it comes to battery here, we're looking at a 90 watt-hour battery. I got 7 hours and 1 minute on the video playback. I got over 11 hours on the mixed use modern office test, 11 hours and 40 minutes. And on the office productivity test, a new test that I started to run here, it got 6 hours and 33 minutes. So I would say overall 6 to 7 hours of mixed use, depending on what you're doing. Everybody's use case is a little bit different, so your mileage may vary. They do supply you with that 140 watt power charger in the box. That supplies enough juice for that RTX Pro 2000. And I think it worked out pretty well as far as travel wise, not too heavy, and it's pretty compact, travel friendly, and it is USB Type-C, so it makes that more convenient. So overall, battery and charging has been very good on this laptop. And by the way, that 140 watt power supply supports rapid charge as well. Now, when it comes to audio, I was a little concerned on paper when I was waiting for delivery of this. I was looking at the specs and I thought it was a typo. I said, how could this only have 2 speakers and bottom firing speakers at that? And when I got it, I was like, oh, please let this be good. And thank God, when I did turn it on and ran some video tests and I played some videos, it actually sounded really good. It was loud, got good bass, good mids, overall volume was good, very immersive sound, and it does have Dolby Atmos to help with the spatial audio. So I was a little relieved there. Now, could they have gone with quad speakers? Maybe. Did they have to? Not after hearing this. I thought these sounded really good. And of course, in that previous video, I did put it up against the best in the business, the M4 Max that I have here, the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But of course, let's give it a listen again, and you let me know what you think in the comment section below. But overall, I think the sound is really good, especially for bottom-firing speakers. I didn't expect that. MacBook Pro.
Hello, honey, how you been? Oh, it's been such a long time. I can feel my heart jumping. Are you still mine? No one ever married, no. But I come close a time or two. I guess it wasn't meant to.
Okay, let's talk about what I consider the star of the show, and it's got to be this. I don't think there's any debate on this. 16 inches, 3.2K resolution, 3200 by 2000, tandem OLED display with a matte finish. The anti-glare coating on this is off the charts. It's the equivalent, I would say, of the nano texture on a MacBook Pro, right? But this is a tandem OLED. It's not mini LED. So what does that mean? So you're getting the deep blacks, you're getting the super vibrant colors, the really high contrast. Everything pops on this. It's really that good. And the coverage of the color gamut is there. The color accuracy is there. So if you're going to do content creation, Lightroom, video editing, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, all that, it's all going to be very good for content creation. This display is simply off the charts. Now, brightness, 620 nits. I actually got 619, but let's say 620. Standard dynamic range, but of course it can peak up to 1500 nits in HDR. And watching high dynamic range content on this has been off the charts as well. Fantastic viewing experience. It's immersive. And with the really good speakers on this, the overall experience has been very good. Now, as far as this display, it can go back 180 degrees, as you see there. and very minimal, if any, screen wobble. So when you're typing, you're not getting distracted by a lot of screen wobble, which I love the fact that this is well engineered. Really, really good. And this has been the display to me of the year as well. Now, is it better than the Yoga Pro 9i that I looked at with the tandem OLED and the 1600 nits of peak brightness, 100 more in HDR than this one? I don't think that's better than this. I think overall, the fact that you don't get the glare and reflection you get on that highly glossy display, while that is a superb display, it's one of the best, if not the best, like I said, this one just might be a little bit better simply because you don't have that glare and reflection. Again, I have a lot of studio lights here, so just keep that in mind. That is pretty good. So let me know your thoughts on that. But as far as this display, Lenovo hit a home run. Now, one note about the display, of course, this is an OLED, even though it is tandem OLED. I didn't notice a lot of screen flickering as far as PWM. You got to go really low to even detect it. So that has been very good. They did a good job there. And then as far as screen burn-in, obviously, if you leave a static image long enough with any OLED, including a tandem OLED, it might be an issue. So I've had this for more than 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks, and I didn't notice a lot of, I didn't have any screen burn-in is what I'm trying to say. No, I didn't experience it, but of course I didn't have it long enough. But any OLED display, if you leave a static image, just be careful. Make sure you have the screensaver go on. I think it does have a screensaver that goes on after a certain idle time. So that will help protect it. And again, just be careful with these OLED displays. But overall, I've not had any issues as far as PWM or screen burn-in as far as I'm concerned. But not to say you won't have any problems with PWM, but you have to go to very low brightness on this, maybe below 20%, maybe less than that, to actually detect it. So that's actually pretty good. They did a good job here when it comes to the PWM. And one other note about this display, everybody's asking me, is there any screen door effect? And so I have a white background here and I looked really close. I don't see a screen door effect on this. I think the layer, even though it does have a pen layer on this, I definitely think they did a great job here. So I couldn't detect that. I don't have the greatest eyes, but I had other people look at it. Nobody noticed a screen door effect. So really good so far in that regard. And of course, this does have a pen layer. So for those that want to take notes, sketch out artwork, use the pen to navigate. This does the job here. So that has been very good as far as this is concerned. So for those that want to use a pen, this is a definite nice convenience factor and a nice added bonus as far as I'm concerned. Now, this does have a 5 megapixel IR webcam that, of course, allows you to log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. And as far as security, you could also log in with your fingerprint. That, of course, is the power button, which doubles as a fingerprint scanner. That worked well. Setup was easy. Now, let's give a look at the webcam. Let's give a listen to the array mics that it has. And I think they did a good job here. Of course, I already showed you that example, but I'll show you it again. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. So this is the 5 megapixel IR camera here on the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 mobile workstation here for 2025. What do you think about the video quality and what do you think about the audio quality? Let me know. And then, of course, you have the background effects here, the standard blur, the portrait blur, you have auto framing, all the studio effects are here. Again, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Now, when it comes to Linux, I was able to run the Ubuntu Linux off of a live USB drive, and of course, everything worked. The touchscreen worked, the pen worked as far as the pen support, the keyboard, the mouse, or the touchpad, I should say, the haptic touchpad worked. Everything worked except the speakers. That did not work, and I suspect that's because I didn't do a full installation. Rather, I ran it off of a live USB drive there. So I think that was the culprit there. Of course, you'll have to investigate that as far as the drivers. Everything else was working very well. So just keep that in mind. So Linux is definitely doable on this for those that want to run it. So very good in that regard. Now, if you caught that initial video, I was able to open this up. It does have captive screws, Phillips head screws. Very easy to remove the bottom portion of this, the bottom plate. Once you're inside, you'll notice that 90 watt-hour battery. You'll notice the 2 fans for cooling. And of course, it is using liquid metal cooling. We talked about that. Now, what about internally? What can the user upgrade here? Well, we have CAM2 memory. It's 7467 mega transfers per second, and you can get this with up to 64 gigabytes. I have 32 in my unit, and that is user upgradable. In fact, you can actually upgrade it yourself. It's about $450 or so it's not cheap. You can get it over B&H. I think Crucial has it, and there is a 64 gigabyte module that you can put in Cam 2. That is good. Now, Cam 2 is different than SODIMM slots. It's more forward-thinking, more future-proof, and it's a newer standard. So SODIMM slots have been around for about 30 years, and this is the new standard going forward. I'm glad to see other OEMs besides Dell now adopting this. So that has been very good as an industry standard. Now, 2 SSD slots. So I have a terabyte in mine. As you can see, the reads and writes are really good, right? But they are Gen 4 speeds, right? So why are they not Gen 5 speeds? Well, unfortunately, this supports PCIe 4.0 as far as this motherboard, not 5.0. So that's why we're not seeing the Gen 5 speeds, even though this is a Gen 5 SSD. So that is a little bit unfortunate. Now, it does have Wi-Fi 7 and a Bluetooth combo. That is soldered in. It is not upgradable, but it is Wi-Fi 7, and the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth both work flawlessly. No issues with either one. So overall, the serviceability, having the 2 SSD slots, the upgradable RAM, I think overall has been very good. All right, let's talk pricing here. And this, of course, is not cheap, coming in at around $3,500 as configured here today. I have the Core Ultra 7 255H, 32 gigabytes of that Cam 2 memory, and the terabyte of SSD storage. Now, that is a lot to pay. I'm not going to say it's not, but if you go and buy a MacBook Pro with similar specs, you're going to spend similar amounts of money. Same with the Dell Pro Max 16 Premium, one of its competitors. So you're definitely going to pay the price to be in this category, this premium mobile workstation category, and you will be paying a hefty price tag. There's no doubt about it. That being said, check the link in the description below for the latest pricing, as Lenovo tends to run sales. I think I even saw the P1 maybe on sale. Maybe I was hallucinating, but I think the T1g, its counterpart, also was on sale. So you never know. So always check that link in the description below. That being said, you will definitely pay the price for this. And, you know, I would like to see it a little bit cheaper, but of course, you're putting a 3.2K tandem OLED display, the best in the class right here, because it is a matte finish. You don't have to deal with unnecessary glare and reflection. And that alone, and you can see it here, I mean, this display looks fantastic. You don't see, I have a lot of studio lights. You'll see a little bit, but this is really a fantastic display. Now, notice there's very little screen wobble, especially when you're typing, not an issue at all. So this has been very good. Now, of course, you will be wiping this down quite a bit. I did wipe it down before I started recording, and already I'm starting to see fingerprints. And by the way, you can go back 180 degrees, perfect viewing angle, and again, stiff hinge, love it. So who is this for, right? So I want to start incorporating this more in these videos. Who is the target audience? Well, obviously, this is a business-focused laptop first and foremost, part of the ThinkPad line. I think that goes without saying. That being said, I think coders, programmers, developers can use this. The fact that you could run Linux on this, the fact that it has such a great keyboard plays a huge role in that. Of course, you coders, programmers, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of something like the P1? I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. I think you know that. I'm not a software engineer, but I can see the value in having the layout in this keyboard, and as far as the display, of course, I don't know if you necessarily need a 2.8 or the 3.2K OLED, tandem OLED, but it's nice to have it. But this is really good. What do you think about having the haptic touchpad? I think that worked out really well. I think overall, this is it's a dream laptop in a lot of ways, a dream workstation for a lot of people, especially for those that work on the road in hotel rooms and have to take this on an airplane, stuff like that. I think this does fit the bill. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I also think consumers can use this as well. So if you're looking at a MacBook and a MacBook Pro more specifically, this is a great Windows alternative because this can do things a Mac can't do. Mac can't let you use the touch display. You can't use a pen on a MacBook like you can on this one. I don't know why I picked up too. The magnet picked this up. But you can't use a pen like you can on this one, right? So those are some differentiators. You can upgrade the RAM. You can upgrade the storage on this. You can't do that on a MacBook Pro. What else? You can game on this, right? So Macs are getting better in that regard, but natively, this is a much better experience because everything just works with this GPU, CPU combination, right? So I think that is a big win there. Now, you also get upgradable USB-C ports, right? They're now serviceable. They're modular as opposed to being soldered into the motherboard. So when one goes bad, you'd have to replace the whole motherboard in the past. That's not a thing that you have to worry about on here. Serviceability is a lot better on this. So there are some clear, distinct advantages over a MacBook. Now, the MacBook has clear, distinct advantages over this, that being excellent and better single and multi-core performance with that Apple Silicon. We saw it with the M5 even, and of course with the M4 Pro, the M4 Max that we looked at. So you're definitely going to see an advantage in that regard, although that is one thing can be debated because that's just synthetic benchmarks. What about real world? Yeah, you're going to do very well. And you're going to do well if you're in the Apple ecosystem, right? So you'll do better if you have an iPad, you have an iPhone, you have AirPods, everything works seamlessly, much better integration than with a Windows counterpart. So there are some advantages there. I'm not going to say they don't. I use both platforms, as I mentioned, so I use both. So I don't have one favorite over the other, but there are some clear, distinct advantages of going with something like the P1 Gen 8 here or the T1g Gen 8. Again, those are just some of the advantages, but of course, let me know, and I'm sure I'll hear from you in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 here for 2025 and also the T1g Gen 8, which is its counterpart, very similar for all intents and purposes, the same workstation here for 2025. The only difference being is the different GPU, but again, not a huge difference there either. That being said, I think this is probably the workstation of the year as far as this is concerned. It is that good. And one of the biggest stars has got to be this tandem OLED display, 3.2K resolution, 120 hertz, and the matte finish is mwah. Chef's kiss, Lenovo. You did a fantastic job using this panel here. It is so good. It is so good. You could even use a pen on this, right? They even give you pen support to take notes, sketch out diagrams, maybe some artwork. Again, it's not a convertible, but having those little extra features certainly adds up. Nice little thing there. Now, as far as the performance, good single, good multi-core out of that Core Ultra 7, 255H. You can even go up to a Core Ultra 9, 285H. Do I think most of you need to do that? Probably not. I think it's a diminishing returns. I think you won't see that huge of a difference for the price difference. So just keep that in mind. I think most of you will be perfectly fine with the Core Ultra 7 255H. Now, as far as graphics are concerned, the RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell did well for video editing. I actually edited 4K videos on this. It did well. I ran the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve benchmark. That did well. Graphics-wise, you're going to be fine. It's the equivalent, I would say, of a 5070 more than a 5060, somewhere in there, but I think the 5070 is the spot there. Now, as far as battery life, pretty good. I got over 11 hours of mixed use in the Modern Office test. I got 6.5 hours, or more than that, a little bit more than that, in the Office productivity test that I started to run now on these laptops and workstations. And it got about 7 hours on video playback, and that's with the 120 hertz enabled. And the fact that this is such a high-end tandem OLED high-resolution display, that's pretty good result with that 90 watt-hour battery. So battery life has been very good. Pretty compact 140 watt power supply Type-C, which I love. So that has been very good. Amazing keyboard, amazing trackpad, and of course the TrackPoint, the inherent part of the ThinkPad DNA. It's all there, so that has been very good. So overall, I think this is a home run here, hit by Lenovo. Whether you go with the P1 or the T1G, I think this is a fantastic laptop/workstation here for 2025 and pretty much checks all the boxes and just might very well be the laptop/mobile workstation of the year in the 16-inch category. I know that's saying a lot, but this thing has been pretty awesome. And of course, I'm sure I'll hear from you in the comment section below, but let me know your thoughts on this. I am curious to know.